Welcome to Vonitzy Acres, and you're watching part 2 of the foundation build. As you can see from this picture taken Sunday, August 24th, I have the foundation walls in place now, and let's see how we got to this point as we go back in time. It's been about a 3-month process to get here. As you could also see from the picture, this is a wood foundation using pressure treated lumber. And this is a cross-section detail of the foundation wall, whereas 2x6 studs on a 2x10 footing plate on a stone base as the foundation. So when I was designing the house last winter, I created a framing layout of the foundation wall, and then several details of each wall. I built these in 8-foot sections so they'd be easier to handle. So in this particular wall there's 4. And then back on May 20th I had the first pile of wood delivered, and that was a long time ago. It's been sitting out in the weather for a long time. Then on May 24th I started cutting to the sizes I needed, so that included the 8-foot top and bottom plates of the wall. And with each cut, you need to seal the ends, since this is pressure treated lumber, so I sealed all the ends as I cut them. On May 26th, I did more cutting. These were the studs that are 39 inches long. So one 8-foot board, I was able to get 3 cuts, 10-foot board, 3 studs per board. And this is the pile I created, again, sealing all the ends. And then another pile, the same stuff. Then on June 7th, I started to build the wall assemblies in 8-foot sections, and each wall assembly was then stacked into a pile, and which you see right here. And these have sat for over 2 months, and now they were ready for use. Good thing I pre-built them. In part 1 of the foundation build, you probably saw a lot of the stone being put in, and this is kind of the final grading of the stone, trying to get it as level as possible. I marked the highs and low spots and got it as level as I could, and then I started to move all the 2x10 footing plates into position so that I could start working on the footings. As you can see here, this is all of them moved into place and ready for install. Then on August 22nd, I started to put the plates down over the stone, and I've got my laser in the back there, and I was checking elevations as I went. Got it to within plus or minus 1/8 of an inch, which is close enough. And then the next day, Saturday, August 23rd, I was ready to move the walls into position that I had pre-built 2.5 months ago. And using this mini skid steer from China was a big help. This is actually one of the biggest reasons I got this thing, was for moving material around. I moved the stone using the bucket, and I probably took over 100 loads down into the crawl space and into the back area for the workshop. And now I'm using the fork attachment to get these walls positioned. I pretty much move 3 or 4 of these at a time, as this thing's able to handle a little over 500 pounds fairly easily without tipping. And these 3 assemblies are probably only a couple hundred at the most. But I didn't want to take too many at a time just to not be risky. I have 26 overall, 2 of which I'm no longer going to use, so there's a total of 24 wall assemblies going into the crawl space and the garage. The shop hasn't been built yet, and I may change that now to a post and beam foundation, which would be similar to the shed. This is the path I'm going on, and this is in real time, so I try to move it pretty slowly to take it down there. And yes, the shed will be finished at some point soon. I just need to get the roof sheathing and wall sheathing finished, and it'll be pretty much weathered in, and build a door. And my goal is before September 20th, which is when the next rent is due for the container that I'm using. And they just upped the price of it, so I'd like to get rid of that thing as soon as possible. So this is one of the final trips I had to make. The wall straight ahead, you can see I had to leave that open. I couldn't bring any of those walls in yet, because this corner right here I've been using as a ramp to get into the crawl space. And after this load, I had to close that up, and you'll see that shortly, so that I could get the rest of the base laid down and the footing plates put down. You can see the one footing plate on the left there has two green handles on it. I was using those to move these long 12-foot 2x10s into position so that I could set them down fairly softly without putting divots or anything into the stone. So here I'm just parking so that I could load those walls into position, and then later I was able to close off the corner and no more trips into the crawl space with the skid steer. So with all the walls in place, the next day, August 24th, I was able to start doing my layout and get the walls installed. So here I'm using my 90-degree laser. So what this has is two vertical laser beams that it shoots out, and I can pick up the signal with this little receiver and get my markings basically on two of the walls. So I use the back wall, which is this one, pretty much trying to come in 2 inches off the back of the plate. And then the other wall would be the north wall, which is the one I just closed up, and 2 inches off of that plate, or approximately basically 90 degrees to the other wall. So then from those markings I could put a chalk line down and mark it, and with the chalk line down I was able to use that as a good reference to align my walls as I go. Because 8-foot sections, you gotta have some way to keep the wall straight. So this is my way of doing that. So that was the back wall. So there's my black chalk line that I'll follow with each section. And these are all video being taken with a GoPro that I mounted to my forehead. And this will be the second wall that's 90 degrees to that. And off of those two walls I can pretty much get everything else sequenced parallel and perpendicular. So I've got two perpendicular wall lines and ready for the walls. So using the skid steer I was able to bring the last of the wall assemblies into position. Couldn't go in the crawl space, but from the edge I can just drop the walls down. And this is the north wall, one of the two walls that I marked. And once I get it set on there, I'll be able to put it in position. There are 4 8-foot sections on this wall, so it's 32 feet. And these are the first of the two. Actually, the first one on the skid is the one that'll be put into position first. And then the other one is actually the first one that goes in this first corner here. This thing really came in handy for this particular process. So this one goes in this front corner, and I just wanted to set it aside for now. Come back to it later. So now I take this one and pull it all the way to the back, just sliding it down on top of the footing plate. Try not to mess up my chalk line. It's not as hard as it looks. It's pretty crummy wood though, as you can tell. Wasn't real satisfied with this wood that I bought from this lumber yard. A lot of knots, a lot of bowing and warping. So I got this one and the next wall for the other corner to be tied together. So I've just worked a little bit longer on these two sections just to get this corner plumb and square and level, and just getting it tied together properly, because from this corner everything will go pretty smoothly. And here's the corner, braced on both ends. It's perfectly plumb, square, and ready to get all the rest of them assembled. And here's the picture when everything was completed. Didn't have time to film each wall going in. Once I got on a roll, I didn't really want to slow down. Anyway, I made really great progress over this period of time. It took a long time to get this foundation done, but this part of it is done. I still have the garage to complete, and then we'll be on to the next phase, which will be part 3. Thank you for watching.